the Section 14 of the Nigerian Constitution has clearly stated the burden of protecting the lives and property of our great nation, and that is security, which is a primary responsibility of government. So anyone who is planning to be Nigeria's president must be able to take up that responsibility. And that's the reason why we begin tonight with security as a major conversation that we'll be starting with. And tonight we'll begin with the question from experts in the room. First and foremost, we begin with the question from Mr. Mike Ejiofor, who is a former director at the DSS and a security consultant. Mr. Mike Ejiofor.
Good evening, Your Excellency. Good evening, everybody present. Your Excellency, you know that most of the problems confronting this country are motivated by ethnicity, religion, politics, and so on. In the north, you have a separatist agitation. You have Boko Haram, religious extremists. In the east, you have IPOB asking for the Republic of Biafra. In the south-south, you also have agitation for resource control and disruption of activities. In the southwest, people are asking for restructuring and all these issues. How do you intend to confront these challenges to strike a balance, meeting the aspirations and yearnings of such people, at the same time solving the problem? That's the first question.
All right. Let me allow. Would you like to take the question?
Yes. Thank you very much. Let me say that going by my experience over the years as a politician and somebody who had opportunities to be the Minister of Defense of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, somebody who had opportunity to be in the NDDC, and somebody who had an opportunity to be the governor of Kano State for 8 years, 4 years from 1999 to 2003, and 4 years from 2011 to 2015. And of course, somebody who had the opportunity to be an advisor to President on Darfur and Somalia during those crises. I believe that I am the best person to handle the issue that, or issues that you raised, because most of the things that you mentioned were things that we were able to came across in the past, and those were the issues that we were able to sort out. You see, the issue of politics is key. That is the beginning. If you get your politics right, many things can fall in place. And of course, to get the politics right, you need to have the required experience, the required capacity, required integrity, and commitment to the sorting out of the problems themselves. So, first and foremost, there must be dialogue, and is there very clearly in our blueprint. Our plan, our pledge, was that we will try to carry everybody along. We would be happy to work with everybody. We will give everybody equal opportunity to make contributions toward the development of this country. And with that, I believe that the issue of intelligence can be easily generated from the general public once they have confidence in the government itself. And most of these agitations you mentioned were based on the fact that many people are of the opinion that they are either sidelined or not being carried along. We will build confidence in all Nigerians, individually and collectively, to believe that we are there for their interest and the overall interest of this country. A politician at this level must understand that servicing ethnicity or servicing just one religion doesn't work, or servicing even region or zone doesn't work. What will work for all of us is to build the confidence of people individually and, of course, across the country. And by doing that, you will have peace and stability and therefore development in the country. Now, the key thing that has been raised by Sean is the issue of the security. And most of these failures, issues that we have, are branches of the issue of insecurity. If you don't have security in your country or in your community, hardly can you get anybody who can go to the farm. And that's the situation now in many parts of this country. If you don't have security, you hardly get anybody who will buy or sell something at point A or point B. And so many things will affect the security itself, and so on and so forth. And
so, because I'd like you to take, in this segment, which is security, a few more people are going to ask questions. So if we get it right, you said you're going to dialogue. You dialogue with IPOB, are you dialoguing with Boko Haram? Is that the center point of the question Mr. Ejiofor is asking?
Yes, we'll carry everybody will listen. But don't forget, on the other hand, we have in our blueprint that the military in this country are very much inadequate. Now we want to raise the level of just less than 250,000 to about 1 million. So also the police, less than 230,000 to another 1 million. And people in your own area, the DSS, of course, will increase the number, and civil defense and so on, to match the exigencies of this moment. Of course, issue of training, retraining, issue not only of the intelligence from the people, even the artificial intelligence that is very strong now due to the level of the technology that we have across the world. And of course, we will have everybody working together to ensure peace and stability. So on one hand, yes, we'll dialogue with anybody. But throughout the history of not only Nigeria, the world over, there will always be few people who will not be happy with peace. And that's where government will take necessary action to ensure that there is peace in each and every square meter in this country.
As much as I would like you to treat these questions very decisively, I would also like that you treat them straight on so that we can... one more question from you, Mr. Ejiofor.
Yeah, Your Excellency, from your approaches, you are looking at kinetic and non-kinetic approaches. Can you explain briefly to Nigerians how you intend to achieve these kinetic and non-kinetic approaches?
Yeah, please.
He's talking about non-kinetic and kinetic approaches. You've talked about that.
Yes.
You talked
about
it,
yeah.
about using political solutions and military.
Yes.
That's kinetic and non-kinetic. Yes. So what I'm saying, explain to us briefly how you intend to achieve this.
No, I think it's very clear. Of course, I told you we'll carry everybody along. Now I can give you a practical example that most people today are not being carried along by the government. Even at our level, if we see something, we need to say something. But we find it difficult to know who to talk to because many doors are closed. And therefore people, especially the military itself and other security agencies, are missing critical issues or points or information that ordinarily would have been very important to them to ensure that there is peace in the country. So we'll take everybody along, and of course the military or the security agencies, plus the intelligence I mentioned, both the artificial and of course the human, that is very much available today. Because I believe, based on my personal experiences over the years, that Nigerians are good people. They are ready, they are willing to support government to ensure that it functions well, even under the most difficult circumstances, even under provocations and so on. But unless they are given the opportunity to do so, it becomes very, very difficult to pass any information which is critically needed by our security agents to function.
Thank you so much. Let's take a question from Mr. Kabiru Adamu. Thank you so much, Mr. Ejiofor. Let's switch over now to Mr. Kabiru Adamu, who is also a security consultant and is the executive director of Beacon Consulting. Mr. Kabiru Adamu.
Thank you very much. The presidential and vice presidential candidate of the NNPP, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, I have 3 questions, and I'll quickly read through them. It's been argued that 2 of the major reasons for insecurity in Nigeria are absence of coordination and synergy between the federal and subnational governments, and within the about 27 ministries, departments, and agencies. How do you plan to address this issue in a practical and sustainable manner that ensures effectiveness and efficiency? Second question, there is a lack of accountability within the security sector, where officials whose negligence or other acts of omission or commission are not penalized. You were once a Minister of Defense. What did you do as Minister of Defense to address this challenge? And what would you do if you become, if you are elected the president?
All right, let's allow him to take these 2 questions.
No, the third one.
No, let's take the 2 questions first because of time.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are very much aware of the issues of the synergy and the issue of coordination. Synergy, there must be synergy to succeed. And that was exactly what we did when I was in the Ministry of Defense. We noted that there are many issues even between the services, 3 services that we had. And even the ministry itself, the civilian cell, and of course, even worse, the other security agencies, especially like the police. In most cases, there was no understanding and agreements between them. So also in between the ministry and, of course, including the services and other institutions like the Office of the Security Advisor and many other areas that were very critical in terms of synergy. Now, what we did in Kano is a practical example in the sense that we brought everybody together under the brigade commander in Kano, and I believe it's still the practice now. The police, the Air Force, the SSS, the civil defense, and everybody, they are working as a team. When we were challenged, when we had the issue of Boko Haram at its peak. And therefore, we came together, worked together as a family. Nobody was in a hurry to tell Abuja that I have succeeded in one area. Because as a chief security officer, I told them clearly that our overall success is the success we require, not the success of the CP, not the success of the brigade commander alone, and so on and so forth. So we worked as a team, and we provided all what it takes, including the technology, including the welfare. In fact, we were feeding the military and all those who are on the streets at that time in Kano, because in fact, the feeding, the food comes out of the government house. I personally go there from time to time to test it, to make sure that it is good, to make sure that it is healthy, and therefore is distributed. And we took a lot of steps to ensure that whatever welfare is going to the soldiers or the streets or the police and so on were given to them and so on. So we created a very conducive atmosphere for the security to function in Kano. And they are motivated and they worked so hard to the extent that at that particular time, there was nothing Boko Haram did not do to make Kano its base. We had to kick them out. And I don't think there is any other person who means bad for the state who is happy to go to Kano even at this moment. So, and of course, there is the issue of coordination, which I think they go together with the synergy. Now, the issue of accountability, it is very critical. Of course, in the security field, it goes up to a certain point. It's not 100%, but it has to be close to that. Of course, there is the issue of penalty. Now, nobody in a country like Nigeria, or any country for that matter, should be over and above the law. One of the issues that we are having, in our opinion, today in Nigeria is that everything goes. Nobody is punished. 100 people killed, 50 people killed, one person killed. That's the story. A place was broken, so many people escaped. Doesn't matter. And so on and so forth. So there must be the issue of penalties. There must be an issue of reward. If you do the right thing, you give the necessary reward. If you are wrong, you are wrong. So these are some of the things that they are already in a manifesto or blueprint.
As a commander-in-chief, if, for example, the kind of prison break that we saw, what would you have done?
Well, you see, in the first place, it must be prevented. Even from the versions, official versions we hear, there were so many missing links. We were told that many of them, according to the information, that people were being seen around for a long time. And that's what even happened during Boko Haram. Many of those things started from our own end in Kano. And before you know it, we pass out the information and so on. Every time, for many obvious reasons, people are finding it difficult to take the action at the right time. That timing is very critical. And that's what happened in that case. Now, what we would have done was to prevent it, to make sure that it didn't happen. Now, of course, you have to make provision for any security breach to happen for hours in any part of Abuja. This Abuja is most unfortunate. I will tell you that our reaction in Kano at that particular time was not more than 10 minutes within the metropolitan. We provided all the vehicles, we provided all the communications necessary to function effectively. We gave them all what they required. And they were staged at critical positions in Kano. And when we call, maximum at that time, I don't know, maybe it's the same now, 10 minutes somebody will be there. And up till now, I can tell you from time to time, I test the telephone. We have a situation room in Kano. There was never, even now, if I give you the number, you call them, it won't go off. 1, 2, 3, 4, maximum, somebody will pick in Kano. And if you tell them, in the local governments, in the city, and so on and so forth, they are there. So the time to react is very critical. So for them to operate for many hours and then put their people, drive the vehicle, run away to an unknown place, is a miracle. Somebody under normal circumstance would have accounted for what happened.
I have Mr. Undu Nwokolo. Is a security consultant and the chief executive officer of the Next Year company. Thank you so much, Mr. Nwokolo. What are the questions burning your mind on the issue of security?
Thank you, His Excellency, and thank you again for offering Nigerians opportunity to listen to you. So I'm going to be very direct. My questions are going to be two, but I'll be a bit particular. I'm going to take 2 conflicts and 2 regions so that you can give us direct and punchy answer. First, I'm going to look at banditry, and I'm going to do that farmer-header conflict. And my questions will go if you watch between 30th of October and 5th of November, between these two regions, there were about 24 incidents pertaining to banditry, of which about 60 people were killed and about 60 people were equally kidnapped. And to most of us who understand the security issue, we think that the Nigerian state has mismanaged the entire situation. If we become the head of state, what will you be doing differently to make sure that the north central part of the country and the northwest part of the country is secured? That is my first question.
Would you like him to answer to that? I don't want him to mix up the...
Okay.
Do you want to answer that?
I can answer. You see, the issue of security, it's not just a matter of police, SSS, guns, and so on. You see, for you to have effective security in any country, you have to ensure the security of food, you have to ensure the security of health, education, infrastructure, all sorts of things, even job opportunities. Now, once you do that, you find so many instances, and of course, grudges will go down. And of course, dialogue is very key. Government must be talking to its people. President must come out regularly, in my opinion, if he can, every week. Talk to the people. Tell him where we came from, where we are, and what we intend to do. And people will be happy, even to see that their president. President and other key government officials are key, that people of that country, even those friendly countries, will be happy to ensure that things are going well. So there are many aspects of security that are key that must be handled very efficiently for you to have a very happy community, very happy country. Now, in the absence of that, of course, many things will happen. And that's when you can have all these things. Most of the things that are happening in some of these parts of the country in the north, in my opinion, are lacking in some of these things. And therefore, you have so many things, so many grudges. At the end of the day, if they are not addressed, some people will take arms against their fellow Nigerians and start killing people, maiming people, taking them for ransom, and all sorts of things. Another key thing is drug. The issue of drugs must be addressed very, very well, because most of these things are being done under the influence of drugs. And in most cases, you find now people are not fighting drugs. When I was in Kano, we handled the issue of drugs very effectively. We formed committees, some under NDLE, some under NAFDAC, with all the relevant stakeholders, and they were going from one point to the other to ensure that anybody taking drugs is being picked. And out of the 26 institutes that we built in 4 years, one of them was reformatory in Kiru local government. So anybody caught taking drugs will be taken to reformatory for 3 months with psychologists, with clergy or imams, and everybody with the family. At the end of the day, we will take them back to normal, and then all of them without exception were either given work with the government or they were given capital to go and start their businesses. In fact, in that line, we take them to ITF in Kano to train them in various trades, give them capital free of charge to go and start their businesses. And most of them now working in government. In Kano, if you go, many of them in various, I don't want to mention places, but many of them were picked in motor parks, some along this and that in dark places, and then they were revived, and now they are leaders in the society. So what is critical is that government has to do its own bit. But for those who would insist in being the bad boys, now that is where the issue of security agencies would come in and take necessary action to ensure the peace of the society. Thank you.
Thank you.
So quickly, another question on security. Yeah.
I'm happy not only that you were governor, you were equally a member of the Senate. And I'm sure a lot of Nigerians believe that security vote is not in our constitution. So my question is, most of us think that is unaccountable and has been linked to corruption. So, and however, most states that get this money are using it to either fund or back up the state police commands in their state, as well as fund their own state vigilante services. So my question to you is, if you become the president, what's your view about the security vote? Will you remove it, or will you make sure that it becomes a constitutional item? That's one. Second question, will you, as a president, support the establishment of a second-tier policing in the country, considering the escalating number of violent incidences in the country?
Thank you so much, Mr. Walker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You see, for the 8 years I was governor, I have never taken 1 naira on the issue of security vote. Not 1 naira. It's not even there. And I have inherited governments that were taking 10 million naira in a day, 7 times, 10 times. In fact, at a stage, we have a record of 12 times because the governor can only approve 10 million naira. So they will take 10 times whatever number they want. And on a day, if the CP or the DG or the director, SSS or anybody wants to do anything, we'll listen to him. He should defend it. And once we are satisfied, anything above 10 million naira, I will take it to the council. And the only thing that we did not publish for the 8 years I was governor was the money given to these security agents. But we have the records. So security vote, in our own opinion, is a big way of stealing money. Because that's why I have never done it. And if I have an opportunity again, there will never be anything like security vote in the presidency. So we have seen cases where a lot of money is being siphoned in the name of a security vote, and nobody can defend it. And in my opinion, I think that should be stopped using whatever means, because it's only a good way of taking cash from the treasury. Now, the issue of second-tier police. Now, if you check our blueprint, you find that we're open. Restructuring, very much open, including state police. I think that's the one you are talking about, and so on and so forth. They were part of our own understanding of restructuring. Now, while we believe that we will listen to the people, we will do the right thing, but at the same time, we will follow due process. This is not something that the president will sit in his bedroom and announce the change of constitution to insert the issue of that affects the relevant clauses in the constitution. So we are ready to follow due process as long as Nigerians are interested in that. But on the other hand, we believe most of these things coming up are as a result of government failure. Once everything is going well, all these things will die down if everybody will come and do his normal businesses without any harassment from anybody. If everybody can go to school, everybody can have something to eat, everybody has hope for tomorrow, I don't think anybody will start talking of this system is not working. Now, if there is failure, the implication is that people will not, nobody will want to own it. And then people start going around and see, okay, what is the fault? Oh, it's the fault of Nigerian police. Oh, it's the fault of Nigerian army. It is restructuring. Oh, we are poor in social players. We want restructuring. So we are open for restructuring, including the state police, and any other thing that somebody or some people believe that it is necessary for the progress of this country. Thank you very much.